It's the strangest thing. During launch, there's a cacophony of sound and a tremendous shattering, mighty force of pressure. So much so that it feels as if in that moment the whole world is collapsing, and you grit your teeth and your knuckles flush white from the grip. And you trust your harness and you shut your eyes so tight you feel they'll bleed. But then, some minutes after leaving that pad, it's all over. And then there's nothing but silence to be heard. And the beauty in silence. And no weight of gravity at all to tie you down. So you turn around as you fly off and see the world of the earth there in your own little window. And you realize, when you look at that sphere of it, that on that sphere is and was everything that is and that has ever happened. And every man and woman and child, and that all the wars and love and songs and stories that ever were fought and cherished and sung and told right there on that little blue marble that you can almost hold between your fingertips. So small it is. I was born and was a child there, right by that ocean, and became a man in a town 1,200 miles away, a distance that from up here represents not more than an inch. It's surreal. Sometimes I'm out here among the stars and I feel the same smallness that's both awesome and terrible in equal measure. But our time on this place is coming to an end, I think. And if that is indeed the case, the earth isn't appreciably more than a womb, and the universe is the world. And so we've only just taken our first of many, many steps out into the depth of it. God only knows what's out there, waiting for us in the deep. I think, too, that very soon we'll get the chance to find out. An anomaly. A gravitational anomaly, yes. And the source of it's right out there, out past the orbit of Jupiter. He pulled up a photograph, and on it you could see the starlight pulled into smears and streaks indicative of a gravitational lens, the bending of space and time. What the hell is it? We don't know yet what it is. That's what you're going to go find out for us, if you want the job. I'd been ecstatic. Of course I wanted the job. I didn't become an astronaut after all to perform menial mechanical tasks around a space station so close to Earth you could nearly brush the atmosphere with your fingertips. As rewarding as the job had been thus far, I joined instead to explore. A gravitational anomaly? A bending in space-time right here in our own backyard. And of all the men and women alive, they had chosen me to see it. My crew and I trained for years for the journey, and all the while we did, NASA was building for us the War Chariot in secret, for the purposes of crossing 600 million miles out into the realm of the gas giants, where this anomaly business resided. It's amazing, isn't it? Frances, a mission specialist on her 4th flight, said, and finally we arrived at the doorstep of the thing. I joined her at the window, and together we stared out at the anomaly, the shifting weight of mass 1 million more miles off, around which starlight from behind curved and oozed and slipped. I concurred. Yeah, it is. Where do you think it came from? That's just the thing. It didn't come from anywhere. We've been watching it for some years now. Doesn't mean it didn't come from somewhere. I concurred again. That's true. I suppose that's what we're here to find out. Warhorse Chariot began to circle the thing, and as it did, the crew got a mighty view of its front side. It was a bizarre formation of space, a depression as described, and growing too. Ruger, another veteran mission specialist, eventually said, "Sir, what if it's a wormhole?" I stopped for a moment with that consideration. I had to admit it hadn't yet crossed my mind, but after nearly a full day of witnessing the heaving and the writhing and twisting of what laid in front of me, I was willing to believe in the existence of more than the textbook standard phenomenons of gravity. And if it is, sir, just in case, why don't we send a signal down into it, see where it goes? I couldn't reason against the suggestion, and so I nodded, and the crew concurred. And so, a short burst of radio was dispatched into the anomaly. We ran over mountainous datasets as we waited, and traded ideas to and fro, and ruminated in the countless possibilities. And then, strange and alien things began to occur. Sir! I flew over to the window yet again. Sir, look! It's opening up! And it was. The anomaly was indeed appearing, at the very least, and if the shape of the starlight behind it was any indication, it opened. What the hell? What is it doing? I don't know. Is it opening up somewhere else? I don't know. Just watch. What began as a depression in space-time soon did indeed deepen into a hole, and then it widened and spread, and soon it wasn't merely reflecting the star's light, it produced its own, a powerful pulse of brilliant and blinding blue. All at once, the crew shielded our eyes and turned away from the light, only peeking back as it faded. God, it's a tunnel. Ruger, you son of a bitch. Francis patted him on the back. So, what's our next move, Cap? Another specialist, a 10-year vet by the name of Jones, had said. You want to dive into the thing? I shook my head. No, we'll stay here and observe for now. You sure? Chance to make history. You want to pass that up? We have no idea what the hell lies on the other side, Jones. Our orders are to observe and collect data for research. He shrugged. And for a time, the crew merely discussed the implications of the discovery. As we did, though, we began to drift forward. It was difficult to notice at first, as the distances involved and the lack of stationary objects nearby made it impossible to eyeball. But the equipment noticed it, and no sooner did we hear the faint beeping than the chariot picked up more and more speed. What the hell? The hell's going on? Are we moving? I don't know. Pilot Fowler was frantically scrambling over the controls. It's not me, sir. What do you mean it's not you? Can you stop the ship? No, I'm trying. But the thrusters aren't even on. Fuel's stable. Is this thing pulling us in? All right, everyone calm down. We'll figure this out. Fowler, can you angle the thrusters away from the direction of the movement? I'll try. As he did, we felt the subtle rumble of fire from those thrusters, and the descent into the anomaly began to slow. But it was a temporary respite. We're slipping again! Fowler flared up the thrusters in bursts, but whenever he did, the anomaly's pull got stronger and overwhelmed their effort in turn. Whatever this thing was, I realized it was able to target its gravitational pull and adjust its intensity as needed, and Warhorse Chariot had no answer. Turn off the thrusters, Fowler, I said. No sense in wasting our fuel. He did, and a silent distress settled over the crew as Chariot flew into the anomaly. Warhorse Chariot continued its free fall into the mouth of the wormhole. At its own speed, it's a journey that would have taken days or weeks, but with the anomaly collapsing space and time itself in front of the ship and expanding it behind us, the ship gained impossible velocity. We approached the speed of light. Then we reached it. Relative, at least, to the solar system outside our reference frame. Fowler said, "Holy shit, guys! We're going at light speed. We're actually moving at fucking light speed!" How is that possible? We're not moving an inch inside our bubble of space, I said, without breaking eye contact with the anomaly. That's how. It's space itself that's moving, and there's no limit at all to how fast it can go. Another moment passed before I added, "Everyone strap in. We're almost inside." And then, the ship began to rumble, and to shake, and to groan, and the blue light brightened, enveloping us whole. Moments later, we entered the tunnel, and Warhorse Chariot exited the solar system. Neither space nor time retained its meaning in this place. There was no where, there was no when. There was only the ship and her crew, and a hull protected from the madness of the journey by a sphere of space-time that flew through the tunnel made of the same stuff, past 1,000 galaxies and 1,000,000 stars and 1,000,000,000 worlds. For a time it was beautiful to behold, but that time was fleeting and quick. Before we exited this dimension, the pressure of movement overwhelmed the integrity of the ship, and I heard a groan of protesting metal and then cracking, and then titanic crashing. The lights went out, and all sound in the cabin of the ship ceased at once. Hello? There was no response. Fowler? Ruger? Silence. And darkness. And cold. Such frigid cold. My skin began to grow numb from it. Francis! You there? Baker! Nothing at all. Nothing answered me. Slowly I struggled to undo the seat harness that... Fuck! Another flash of blue. It was bright, so exceedingly bright, in fact, that I couldn't see a thing or think, and it filled up the whole of the cosmos from where I sat, and it lingered. On our side of the wormhole, the pulse had merely been that, a heartbeat, a flash of light, and not more than an instant of time had been taken up by it. But here it stayed active, like the supernova of a star, and then I could feel the heat of the light, and it washed over me in waves. And then... something else happened. I began to feel something in my head. Something in the light. No doubt. That saw me and saw a usefulness for me. It was clawing its way through my mind, pulling up memories and dreams and thoughts and ideas and sifted through the lot of them. As if it was searching for something. It hurt. God, it hurt. And in a lancing, sharp way, I grabbed my temples and squeezed shut my eyes, and I heard myself scream, but the harvesting continued nonetheless. I saw images and memories and thoughts and dreams. Perhaps it wanted me to see them. A birthday party. A ringing hallway bell. Playing in the mud. The first kiss. A mountaintop snowfall. A sunset on the beach. What does this thing want? What do you want? I hear myself say. There's a pause. For a fleeting moment, the pain stops, and so too does the harvesting, but only for that moment. And when it's over, the process begins again. And the memories it finds begin to focus, and my eyes roll back. Flash! A memory of a conversation is summoned. It's about nothing. An old co-worker discussing expense reports with me. The light loses interest in swift order, and then it moves on. Flash! An earlier memory now. Another conversation. I'm speaking with my mother. I'm looking up at her in the kitchen with oven mitts on, and she's telling me to wash up for supper. She speaks slowly and simply. I must be, 10? Younger? The light lingers a bit here and then moves on. Flash! Elementary school, or earlier. Maybe kindergarten. We're learning penmanship today. I look down at my paper and I see the alphabet scribbled there in loops and scratches. The light lingers here too for a while, and then the memory fades. What do you want? I say again. Another pause. And then another memory comes up. A high school bully of mine, Greg Rickey. He runs up to me after a football game and says the word food. And then there's nothing. Perhaps the light is waiting for a response. Food? I say. Flash! Melissa looks down at the note I'd passed her 3 days before prom and says, yes. Oh, okay. Good, okay. What kind of food? There's another pause before flash! Just an image this time. A bolt of electricity in a thunderstorm, seen from my dorm window. 2001 or 2. Lightning? You eat lightning? How? Flash! My mother, after watching the dog piss on the floor, shouts, no! Okay, you don't eat lightning, so... Flash! A bouncing dodgeball in the high school gym. Another image of lightning and one of rippling air on the pavement in the midst of a midsummer heat wave. A ball, okay, and lightning and heat, like a combustion of those things. Is that it? Flash! Melissa again says, yes. Okay, give me a second. Hot ball of energy, like a star. The image of the sun that popped up in my own head as I uttered the word gave the light some pause. Then I felt a force of power. It stung. Flash! An image of an armadillo from a nature documentary. It curls tightly into a ball, and the memory fades. I don't follow. Flash! The image repeats itself and drags a bit on both ends to see the creature walking for a moment. Its weight shifts left to right, then it stops. Then it curls up into a ball while its little armor plates shield it. Are you an armadillo? You eat like an armadillo? Flash! Mom shouts again. No! Now it's an image of a cat and a ball of yarn. It curls around the thing. Then there's another visual of a hand wrapping itself around a baseball. It throws it home. Something about curling into a ball or onto one. Flash! Yes. Okay. So you're hungry for food. You eat stars by what? Curling onto them? What the fuck is this? Flash! A new image. It's shocking and it's dark. I see the gates of a concentration camp and a pile of corpses and an inmate there gripping the bars of the fence. She's emaciated and desperate, but too sick even to cry for help. Her clothes hang off her limbs in excess. It's the saddest image I've ever seen. What the fuck is that? Flash! The famous photo of an African child with a vulture behind. His stomach is protruding, and even so I can see each one of his ribs through his skin. He has days to live in such a state. Maybe hours. Flash! An image now of a newsreel. A crowd of desperate refugees or citizens of the third world, it's unclear which, clambering onto a truck with a capital letter U and N painted upon its side in white letters. The man standing atop the bed of it is handing small amounts of food from a container to the crowd. He doesn't have nearly enough. The crowd presses in and the truck is buried in the numbers, unable to move. What is this? I don't... Flash! 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 Every time the images switch, I saw a new scene as horrible as the last. Okay, you're starving, is that right? Flash! Yes. I'm sorry, I don't know how to help you. There was an explosion of pain behind my left eye. Then I felt nothing but chaos and discord and anger. I sensed that very, very clearly. Burning, twisting, desperate anger, and then flash. An image of bones. Flash! A man screaming for mercy. I doubt he received any. Flash! Armed men throw another man down a hillside and then automatic weapons into his heart. Flash! 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 The images rotate in and back out again, and each consecutive depicts a scene of violence and terror and misery and suffering. At last, flash! There's an image of a burning world. My world. The earth, scorched and ruined. Wait. It's not Earth. It's another... It's somewhat different. Another planet. This already happened, didn't it? Flash! Yes. I'm afraid to ask the next inevitable question, but too curious not to. What are you? Flash. A new image entered my mind, this time like the last from the light and not from myself. I saw a memory of a dream playing out before me. A fleet of starships, arrayed up in a concave formation for battle, firing lancing spears of energy into a wormhole. Then the blue light spilled on through it, followed in turn by a mass of alien metal. The ship ramped up the rate of fire and the intensity of it, but they couldn't harm the thing coming through, or so much as it slowed down. Slowly, and one by one, as it became clear the advance of the machine could not be stopped, the ships broke formation and began to flee. But they weren't fast enough. The machine, after a time, gained the hot side of the gate and poured on through. With pulsing blasts of light, entire ships disintegrated into ash and nothing more. A capital ship in the formation's middlemost section fired a round of some new form of fire, and the machine took the hit with a wound, but not even that did more than scratch an arm of the thing. That ship met a swift fate like the others. Flash. A scene from the planet, which those things had hailed. There were dead things, alien corpses, cities aflame, the end of the world. The mighty shadow of an eclipse falls across the scene, and then there's darkness. Flash. From space now I see the thing, and all the magnitudes of its vastness. It's terrible and awesome in equal measure. This machine, and having done away with the resistance that it cast out great arms of metal from a central apparatus that spills from the light and wraps them around the mass of the star there. Then as I watch, a funnel of the star's plasma is sucked out by gravity into the machine, and it begins to feed. Flash. The star is dwindling. Flash. The star is no more. All that now remains in the grasp of the machine is a sphere of hot space. The machine spills its blue light into the depths of the abyss in search of other things to devour. Flash, another world above it, can see the shadow of the machine's arms as it consumes the star. There's no life here to mourn its passing. Flash, another world destroyed. Their starships splintered in orbit, lifeless and useless, and parts of their hulls rammed into the planet's backside. Their attempts to stop the machine has ended in disaster. Flash! The machine gathers those parts and adds them into its mass. Over unspeakable units of time and countless such battles, it has grown large. Too large, in fact, to sustain itself. Ever it searches for more food. Flash! The machine, having destroyed yet another system, shudders and quakes. It's not enough. Flash! Parts of the machine's limbs have gone dark. There's not enough energy, enough food to feed the whole of its mass. It needs more. I can feel its hunger. I can feel the growth of it. Flash! In desperation, and with the last of its energy, the machine warps space-time itself into points and rivers. Doorways are opened up. There's no rhyme and there's no reason. Countless such portals have been ripped into the fabric of the universe, and through them, the machine has poured its light. It's blinding blue, in search of sustenance. Flash. A new image from my mind again. It's from a science textbook, and it's of my own star, the sun. The light from the machine is digging again through the dusty corners of my mind. It needs information. It needs it desperately, and here I am. An endless treasure trove of the stuff, more accessible to it than to myself. I can feel memories being ripped free and thrown. A sick day, a movie theater, an astronaut speaking at my school, an Air Force recruit center, and a first flight, and a majesty of speed, a rocket launch, knuckles white on the edge of the harness. A first look at Earth from above. No, fuck you. You can't have that. You can't have that. I live there. I managed to say weakly, stop. From inside my mind, I resist with effort. I pull up my own memories now to throw it in its face, to slow it down. Flash. A coworker approached me again. Hey, Darren, did you get my email? I need those expense reports on Thursday. Yeah, I got you, man. I'll get to it now. Oh, okay. Oh, hey, did you talk to Brad earlier? He's, I flinched. The fuck? Flash. Mom yelled, no! And the digging begins again. Data, mountains of it, to be poured over. A look at the sun from the Pacific side beach. The machine tastes the warmth of it. Its hunger roars, but I push back harder. Everything I have. What else? What else do I have? My name? I have my name. Darren Gray. Darren Gray. Darren Gray. Darren... Flash. No, damn it, Sydney. Not in the house. No! Flash. A new image. I see the sun now. From the window of the warhorse chariot. And then flash, a childhood friend ran up to me on the playground during a game of hide and seek and said, dude, where's Eric? Where? Flash, another image of the sun, white and alone. Flash. The friend says again, where? Flash. Where? Darren Gray. Danny Gray. Danny Gray. That's my name. Danny? Something with a D. I think, right? Flash, the sun again. Flash, where? I don't know. Flash. The image of a galactic layout and Milky Way maps with labels for the sun flashing through my mind. I was getting closer. I could feel a thunderous surge of power. No, stop. Flash. The pain increased tenfold. My vision swarms and burned. I thrashed and grabbed again at my temples and screamed. But the light, the machine, doubled down yet again. call signs, wedding days, a hospital bed, TV documentaries, Apollo, Voyager, One Earths, radio presence. It was getting closer. Danny Green. Sir? Flash. My father's rummaging through the kitchen, phone in one hand. He muted it with the other. Anyone see my pen? He said, Danny Green. Sir? Never mind, my father said. I found it. It felt a monstrous electrifying surge of power, and instantly the light began to fade, and the pain with it, and the sensation of mental invasion. It felt like waking up from a dream, but the nightmare hadn't faded yet. Sir! I stumbled back. I felt that much. I stumbled, and something caught me. Sir? Captain! I opened my eyes. It was Frances. She'd been crying. What? Sir, I've been calling you. I said to stay out of the light. I looked around the cabin. The power was on, the crew was here, all of them were getting up off the floor, and all of them stared up at me with confusion and with concern. What happened? I don't know, she said. We sent that signal into the wormhole thing, and then this weird blue light just poured out of it, and we all hit the deck, but... She looked around. But you didn't. You had this look on your face. Like you were in this trance. And I don't know, I thought you were dead. She started to cry a bit. I looked over at the others. Nobody else saw that? Saw what, sir? Anything at all. There was something in the light. I saw this machine in there, and it... I stopped. I was losing them. Sir, I think you should sit down. No, we need to leave, now. What? We just fucking got here. I know that. Don't you think I fucking know that? I began to stow away cargo and strap down things for a boost. Everyone strap in. Fowler, plot us a course out of here. Baker grabbed my arm. Sir, I mean it. You need to sit down, okay? Gather your thoughts. Jones, can you get him some water or something? I don't need water, Baker. I shook him off and continued loading. Fowler, on the seat now. Let's go. Fowler looked at the others. They shook their heads. Ruger spoke up. Sir, we have come through hell and high water to fucking get here, and here we are, on the threshold of history. We're not leaving, not yet. I'll lock you in the fucking quarters until we get back at the end of the mission if I have to. Shut the fuck up. Sir, Frances stepped forward. Always the peacemaker she was. Don't do this. Please. Shut up! None of you saw that thing. Fowler, do what I said. What thing? The machine? Fowler, get on the seat now. I felt a slamming weight in my midsection. And down I went. Ruger was on top of me. Sir, can't risk you fucking this up for the rest of us. Get the fuck off me! I thrashed and threw all my weight against his. He bucked slightly, and then turned and said, Baker, a hand here. Baker piled on, then Jones, and against their combined weight, I couldn't stand a chance. They hauled me to my feet and began dragging me off to the back. Guys! It was Frances's voice. We stopped, and we looked up, and she was pointing out the window, towards the anomaly. Look! We did. Instantly, I felt 3 pairs of hands loosen their grip. I fell to the floor. What the fuck is that? I wiped a trail of blood from my nose and said, It's here. And the deck of the Warhorse descended into madness. Baker, can we raise NASA from here? I don't know. I could try, but... I mean, what the fuck is that thing? Fowler, you get us out of here? I'm trying, but... Hey, I shouted. Everyone calm down and strap in. Now, Fowler, plot a course for home. Obedience this time was immediate. For a fleeting moment, I heard nothing but the buckle of harnesses and the shuffling of feet and the rumble of thrusters, and the chariot was off, but behind us came the machine, and it did so with utterly shocking speed. I watched it pour on through the widening wormhole, and only then did I appreciate the magnitude of the thing. Shit. Sir, I see it, Fowler. How are we doing? We're moving fast, sir. The ship shook violently as a pulsing blast of blue light rocketed by overhead and nearly vaporized the hull. Shit! The hell was that? It's shooting at us! That's what it was. Another blast. Warhorse Chariot felt its heat and the force of the fire, and the crew nearly spilled out from their harnesses. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. But the ship was too slow. I knew it. Fowler knew it. Baker and Francis and Jones and Ruger, they all knew it too. We shared the intuition, even as we fled, and said nothing, not a word about it. A flash of light, another shudder. I sat down and powered up a computer and began writing this account. A record we won't be able to give in a hearing, and I started it with a description of a home I'll never see again. Sir, Fowler said, we're slowing down fast. And Ruger, not me, responded. We know it is, he said. Sheer gravity of the thing's pulling us in. Ship ain't fast enough, gentlemen. Another flash. Chariot nearly split at the rivets. And for a split second, all we could see in the light was nothing at all. I shielded my eyes during the duration before the fade and kept up my writing. Orders, sir! I stopped typing. I stood, and the crew watched the ship slip into a run. Turn around. What? Turn the ship around. Fly towards it. If we time it right, then we can take a hit in the blue laser right inside the firing chamber. A hush fell over the crew. They knew what it was. A call to spend their lives in the service of mankind. I looked out at the machine. We had 15 minutes, maybe less, before the full form of its mass exited the wormhole. And so we had just as much time to act. Sir, are you... Do it, feller. Baker spoke up. It's the right call. We're not escaping. Might as well take it out with us. It's the right call, Captain. So Warhorse Chariot adjusted its heading for its hunter, and the machine filled up the view of the deck display. And Ruger spoke again. You all ready to die today, ladies and gents? For king and country? Francis closed her eyes. Fowler set his jaw. The gravity kicked up by the sheer mass of the machine took the chariot on a wicked pull. Then one bolstered by the ship's thrusters, and the gap between us was closed quickly. I typed furiously. The machine's central apparatus opened its yawn to fire, and that old blue plasma pooled up in its center, and I pointed it out to Fowler. I see it, sir. Put a hand on his shoulder. You did great, son. And now I bring this account to the current moment. As I write, the machine hastens up its firing process. A piece of it still lives on in my mind, I think, because I can feel a foreign panic when I myself am at peace. I believe it knows that when all the numbers are added, there's nothing it can do to prevent the Warhorse Chariot from flying into its firing mechanism. At the moment of discharge, it is inevitable, and for that reason, I have accepted it. And Baker too. And Jones and Ruger and Francis and Fowler, all my brothers and my sister. They've accepted it. And they're praying and closing their eyes. And there's no crew ever made that's finer to die with. To NASA, if ever you receive this transmission, know that we died well. And know, too, that although there are monstrous things out here in the deep, there are also wonders in it. Never lose the spirit to find them. Darren Bradford Gray, commander of the USS Warhorse Chariot. At 6:09:22 p.m., Eastern Standard Time, an explosion event was picked up by the Hubble Space Telescope and an array of surface-based observation and private telescopes. NASA claims the event was a large-scale asteroid impact. Other satellites have been proposed with examining the area of the incident. As of early August, they have spotted numerous pieces of floating metal, most of which will either join the asteroid belt or fall into the surface of Jupiter, and an excessive amounts of radiation seemingly indicative of collapsing gravitational events. Closer inspection has revealed that the anomaly, Warhorse Chariot was initially dispatched in secret to inspect, has ceased to exist. Some private telescope owners, however, have reported an unidentifiable blue light flashing in pulses from exactly this region. NASA has made no official comment as of this time. Hey there kids, it's me, MrCreepyPasta, and I wanted to tell you thank you for watching tonight's video or listening to tonight's podcast. You can find MrCreepyPasta Storytime on any kind of podcasting platform if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're listening to the podcast already, you can find MrCreepyPasta on YouTube. If you guys are finding yourselves in a dark and stormy summer night and are looking for a way to cool off or heat up, you can always check out Ivory Monocle Tea. That's my wife's tea shop, who sells different kinds of teas, including creepypasta-based tea. It's etsy.com/shop/Ivory Monocle Tea. I'm also on Patreon. You can find a whole bunch of other people supporting on Patreon in the description down below, but there is a very, very special thank you to these people in particular. Jordan Alexander Sanchez, Creepypasta Adam, Ken Lando Higuchi, Mazakine, Champinski, The Red Oak Shield Virus, G Weevil 3, Diana Kraus, Stephen Van Huss, Chance Burton, Tristan Pelton, Nico Cow, The Ginger Bros, Last Blade Song, Eliminator 86, Steampunk Sinner, Caleb Dougal, Sky Harbor, The Homeless Bird 93, Bobby Carmen, Liam Newman, Aaron Stormcrow, Barbara Maceo, Thomas Burgett, Azazel Rotten, S-Man, Kirisuba, Bad Honey, Someone You Love, Said the King 56, Somber Puppet, Wolfie Nums, Shadow Morningstar, Sean Mills, Jesse Gonzalez, Mad Marstomp, Z. Kearley, Cassie Core, Mr. Thud, and Patrick Schoolmeister. These guys are the real MVPs, and all of you who are listening are also the real MVPs. Stay safe, everyone, and sweet dreams.